and have a great meeting, everyone.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to General Finance Meeting, January 15th. Identification of media. See any changes, deletions of the agenda? I just have the one. We'll take off number 7.
Hey, you guys.
No more additions. Can I have a mover to accept the agenda? Moved by Helen. Second by Greg. All in favor? Any opposed? See none, carried. Number 3, delegations. Colonial Board of Directors for the CIBC Bank Loan Review. The Senator Blunt.
Thank you, everybody. It's Audrey. Sherry, can you hear me? You cut out though.
Morning, Ruby. I don't know if you know all the new counselors. Do you want us to go around to introduce everyone to you, for you? Can you use your mic? Yeah. There you go. Okay.
Here, it's the first time I've been in your new peaks. They're pretty nice. Yeah, I'm doing electric. Like I say, congratulations. So, we're real thankful to be on this, agenda this morning. As you know, the County School has been fighting for a while to get a immersion school. And, have been turned down now 5 times through proposals for this to get a school, an immersion school. And those children go to school every day in an arena that is not a totally environmental education situation for children to go to school in. They face many hardships there. And if we're supposed to have equality in Canada, where's that for these kids, these families over all these years? So we're, Galvanio is not going to give up this fight to try and do something about it. We do think the previous elected council gave us funding for to put the site servicing all in. It's in now, waiting for construction dollars to finish the project. And that's shovel ready. Carol Martin and Associates are the consultants, and they've been with the program developing this for over 17 years. So they've really hung in with us. We've done all kinds of proposals for us, and we just can't seem to reach ears in Ottawa. This program, people to be heard. We saw in the paper just a while back on one of the local papers that their media person from S actually said this was a low priority school. And it sounded like this had something to do with, so whether that's a problem or not, or whatever it is, we're still not willing to accept anything less. The last letter said that we couldn't even approach any of the other partners. So I hope we fly back. If there's any opportunity, why? So, and I know last time the board was here, I wasn't here with them. I had some surgery time, so missed that time. But at that time, there was some promises to the board at that time to one thing was to hold back on taxes here that we pay, our community pays a tremendous amount of tax to the government. So why should we be scribbling and saving and begging for dollars to build this school? And so that was going to be looked into, to cover the cost of the school, to taxes that are, could be held back from some of that government. The next thing was that the board feels this is a crown responsibility and obligation to Six Nations, especially with all the talk of reconciliation and all of that. It seems like the efforts are to really finish the job they started, never mind reconciling. So we're wanting to them to honor their commitment, fiduciary responsibility to this community, to reinstate language and culture. And then the other thing, in light of what happened, we tried to explore options ourselves for just to get entities to put together a potential lending opportunity that maybe we could bring before you as a council to look at and see if there's any way that it can be done otherwise. And we did have a representative coming. He got here, and he's here from CIBC. There's many of them that are really interested in this project. I find that there is no hesitation with them, that they're willing to put together different financial offers to consider. And we would wonder how we would work with council on that. What you think of it? And I'm sorry that he's not here.
Would he just come in? Okay.
Invite you up here, Elijah, and to come with us right up front. We shared with them the potential of looking at alternatives for funding for the construction of this Colonial School. And that your organization was willing to put together a tentative package to consider. The first one, anyway, there, we do have our willing as well. So are you ready? Right away, you can.
Can you just use your mic? Just hold the mic down and then just push the button. Just push the button so it goes red. You'll see there you go.
Okay. Thank you everyone for
Excuse me, Sherry Lynn, I can't hear the person speaking.
SNGREC Commercial Banking. Elijah Roberts.
Yeah. Ruby, can you shut your mic off? We'll try that. Okay, now try that.
Elijah Roberts, CIBC Commercial Banking. I cover the Ontario region, province of Ontario, and my office is located in Ottawa. I've been with CIBC for the past 13, 14 years. Started off in Toronto, personal banking, and then I did business banking in northern BC, then northern Alberta. That's where I started working with First Nation banks, First Nation led organizations, and then I moved back to Ontario in 2019. Worked in the Ottawa commercial office, and then 2022 joined the commercial banking. Right, and I was approached by Ruby, or actually Ruby was previously California branch, and one of my colleagues had uncovered the desire for the school to renovate, build up a new $25 million building to, I guess, move out of the current location that they're at. So I analyzed their financing request, and based off of what I was able to determine, the school on itself doesn't have the funding necessary from in place from ISC to support a loan for $25 million. But with the support of the Six Nations band, they would be able to, there would be a strong application that I could put together to support a $25 million construction loan, amortized anywhere between 10 to 25 years, as long as there was the support of the nation, backed by a guarantee and a band council resolution. So I was invited here today to talk about the particularities of what such a funding agreement would take, or how it would take shape, what would be the security package, and then also field any questions that your team or chief and council might have as to what our package could potentially look like. I want to stress that there has not been a formal application put in place. We are looking first to see if there is the support from the Six Nations band to support the school, and then if that's the case, if you're willing to guarantee the loan, then we can continue in the process of drafting up an application that we would submit to our credit underwriting team.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, as far as so I brought my laptop here. I can show some cash flow analysis as to what we can project to be the cash flow of the Six Nations. What existing cash flow from our lens is available to debt service a $25 million facility. I'm not sure if we have the capability to look my. If
I was just gonna add that, we were informed by the ISC programmers also that we weren't allowed to use the program funding as for a mortgage payment each month. We tried to ask them, could we squeeze like a monthly mortgage out of that? And we were told no. So we need you to fight for us.
Okay. And as far as funding agreements, what that would look like from our lens. So
Can you show?
He's working on it right now.
Okay. Yeah. So
I have a comment. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. My name is Greg Fraser. Glad that you came in, because we're always looking for someone to support a lot of our function in terms of loan agreements. Thank you, Ruby, for all your hard work and your due diligence being, refused 5 times. I knew when Patty Haydu was here last year, I knew that that fell on deaf ears, because she seemed to classify your the institution as a private institution. But of course, we know that it's much more to us. It means much more to us than private, the term private schools off the res. So I know that she didn't look at it, I don't think, in a proper lens. But I know she didn't make any commitments at that time. And the other thing too is, I know they probably won't let you go to Canadian Heritage or Culture or any of those other ministries, right, to get funding. So the thing is that I think that if there is a debt structure in terms of monthly payment structure, I think that's important for us to know too here. So, but I do commend you on all your work and perseverance for that.
I'm just gonna say also that, you know, they're just, let me tell you, the board feels really badly having been refused that many times, and I just thought, that it's time we really turn on the tap now, because you can either go away or you can keep on going, and we need to have a strong council to stand up here and say there shouldn't be any denial of a school to these kids and their families. And we have a waiting list, you know, there would be a lot more going there, but they've suffered a horrible roof leaking and furnace out this past, they're losing instruction days because of things like this happening there. Plus with the COVID requirements these days, that reduced our space even more. So, as far as the private school thing goes, why that was in there is there was no consortium to back them to give the credits for the high school to the students. So they have to go through an accreditation by themselves to get their own accreditation so they can grant high school credits. So then they get a secondary school diploma. So that's why it was classed as private, because there's nobody else behind them. But the money flows same as the rest of the money for all the rest of the education here at Six Nations. It's public money that's flowing through council for this through an MOU. Just so you folks know that there is an MOU to council that they take care of talking to ISC for us to get funding for that school. And that was put in place in 2000. So it exists. And Sherry knows all this. She's been fighting right along with us all this time on our building committee. So anyway, I'll let Lijan talk to you now and just give you what he's got.
Sure. So, my presentation is short.
Before you go,
Sorry.
Ruby, can
Oh,
you get your
I'm
mic? Thank you. Just so. It's okay. Still trying to get the presentation up. I'm not sure.
I have it here. PowerPoint. Yep.
Yep.
Sure. There's a network key.
You must need sunglasses in here. It's so bright nowadays.
Okay. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Sorry about this, everyone. We just,
Maybe I should just continue on.
okay.
Yeah. Because I think I can verbally summarize the main points that I want to convey.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, so, looking at a 10-year amortization.
Can you speak right into
Yeah,
the
sorry.
mic? Sorry.
Looking at a 10-year amortization of the of a $25 million debt facility, sorry. Now, we're looking at about $3,700 a month on principal and interest, and that's assuming an interest rate of 8.7%. That interest rate is that's a very sensitized interest rate because we always like to assume worst case scenario. The interest rate that we would provide, Six Nations would be more in line with what we would provide to a municipality. So we're looking at around 6.5%, but we just wanted to put, use a 8.7% interest rate for sensitivity purposes, just, to be conservative. And assuming that with principal plus with a blended payment schedule, we're looking at $3,700 a month for a 10-year amortization, 15-year amortization, $2,900. Just shy of 3,000 really, and for a 20-year amortization, $2,600 a month. Oftentimes we do amortizations of 20 years. Now, usually that's tied to what the length of the supporting funding agreements there are in support of a project by ISK, but I know in this case there is not going to be or there's not likely to be a supporting agreement by from ISK for this project. So I think that as long as the band council resolution is supportive of a 20-year amortization, then we can put forward that sort of duration for this proposed term facility. But just in case the nation would like to pay off this debt obligation sooner, with a 15-year or 10-year amortization, those amounts I've provided to you can give you a guiding post for what your cash flow obligations would be like. Now, when I was looking at the financial statements, historical financial statements of the school only, 2022 revenues was 4,700. Its funding was a little bit higher, a little bit above 4,700 for the year. 2021, 3,900. 2020, 3,700. So, just farmers math. Knowing those, keeping in mind the ISK funding that's received by the school, it's not sufficient to meet the debt obligation, right, for the school. So right away I look towards the First Nation, how what would the nation's debt capacity be for this project. And oftentimes with my clients, I finance economic development companies, First Nation government organizations like health authorities or child and welfare associations. And oftentimes those, when they have initiatives, the First Nations are backing those initiatives. So we have a structure where nations can guarantee the loans. And sorry, just let's go. We have a structure where the nation can guarantee projects by these organizations. So looking at Six Nations. So if I were to tally up the nation's existing debt obligation, so existing interest, or existing principal interest, there was no interest expense line on the financial statements that I could find. I think that would have to be provided a schedule. So I just assumed 8.7% interest, which is about double probably what you're paying. But again, for the sake of being conservative, that's the interest that we used. And we're looking at, a 20-year total debt obligation of existing and proposed, 4,800 for 20-year 15-year 5,100, and a 10-year about 6,000. Now, we have a metric called a debt service ratio. Debt service ratio is basically operating income divided by principal payments and interest. And our comfort, or not comfort zone, but basically our our bare minimum that we look for as a metric to be okay with advancing a credit facility to a borrower is about 1.2. So, so with that in mind, take into account the proposed and existing debt obligations and the First Nations revenue sort ISC funding, and also the revenue that they receive from the commercial operations. For 20-year AM, we're looking at 4.98 to 1. 15-year AM, 4.65, and a 10-year AM of 4.05. So basically, even with the most conservative duration of a 10-year AM, we're looking at 4 times, the nation has 4 times the debt capacity needed to debt service this loan and its existing operations. From a nominal standpoint, just from raw dollars, after the existing and proposed debt obligations are paid off, remaining cash flow in dollar terms that the nation would have at its disposal for 20-year AM, it would be 18 mil, 15-year AM, 17 mil, and a 10-year AM, 17. So sorry, 20-year AM, 18 mil, 15-year AM, 17 mil, 0.8, and a 10-year AM, 16 mil, 0.9. So from a cash flow perspective, pretty comfortable with the nation's ability to pay off a $25 million debt facility. From a credit structuring standpoint, due diligence items that we would want is, well, for the nation to backstop or guarantee the loan, number one. 2, the construction quote should be done on a fixed priced contract. The construction quote that we received was based off of it being environmentally, I think emissions neutral or carbon neutral. Yeah. I think that increased the price quite a bit. Maybe it could be down to 16. No, I would leave that up to the school to investigate with other contractors or with their existing contractor if a non-carbon neutral building would lead to a much lower construction quote. But regardless, we would want the construction quote to be done on a fixed price contract to eliminate any risk of there being any cost overruns. We would want to do satisfactory due diligence on the general contractor that is contracted to carry out construction, just to see if they've done previous work like this in the past, and if they're capable of doing a project of this scope. Of an appraisal to certify the costs of the project is in line with what is being outlined by the contractor. Because the project's going to be over $3 million, we would want an environmental phase 1 on the site. If an existing one that's less than 5 years old is available, we'll take a look at that. And that would be the main due diligence items that we would examine for a project of this scope.
I'll just add to what he said about the cost. I know that our contractor hired a costing company to actually cost everything out, so there wouldn't bring any frills or hidden costs or whatever. And with the green and inclusive model, it came to 26.8, and then with the one that was approved in 220, it was 23. It without all of that extra which, green and inclusive costs that were added. And it just keeps going up because of the environment, like the COVID costs, the building industry, huge rise in costs. That's just a given with what's happening in society. It has nothing to do with anything else. We didn't rev up the costs like, to get more dollars. Those are the two costs that we know on record that, and it was a costing company, that was their job, is to really look at everything and see, are we accurately costing all the requirements? And that's what it was. And before all that started, and when I first got on this board, it was only about 12 million, isn't it, Elba? So as we wait, look what's happened, And these kids are still going to school in that kind of a situation.
So, can you just hit your mics? Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Is it possible to, when you can, to email it so, full council can get a copy of it? Thank you. Is there any questions or comments? Nope. Oh, go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, I'd like to see that information further. I mean, I know there's not much Six Nations can do in regards to a decision today until we have our own internal review as well with our own finance department. So we need to look at ours as well to get a recommendation out of them on, I guess, council's ability to support that. So I know it's not what you want to hear, Ruby, but I know we still have to take due diligence on our own internal operations as well. So that's something we would be very mindful of to make sure that is completed before any decision is made. Thank you.
Audrey, then Cynthia.
Yeah, my name is Audrey and welcome. Nice to have you here today. I've been working with the Galileo board for the last number of years as well on the design team, and we put so much work into it, and I have to commend Ruby and all of the people on the board, as well as all the parents and the kids. They have been through an awful lot, and we've been trying to get the money for them and help them, and it seems like we're getting closer to that. So I think anything we can do to help them would be appreciated, because our language is so important to us and our culture, and these young students are taking it upon themselves to make sure that that happens, that we have continuing our language and culture. So my hat off to them for all the hard work that they're doing. Yeah, also exactly what I was going to say is that if we could see all the facts and figures that you have sent to council, and then the finance committee can work with us to shed some light on what we're going to do in our best interest. But we're moving in the right direction, I think. Ronyawa.
Cynthia, then Melba.
Two questions.
Can you just move it closer to the mic so they can hear you? Thank you.
Sorry, two questions. One, you've indicated a barrier is ISK not allowing you to use any operational funds to put towards repayment of a loan. Have you done any calculations or a business plan if what that would mean if ISK could be persuaded to reverse that decision?
Oh, yes, we have, our finance man is right here, and we try to do that because we wanted to put this issue forward. So we would be able to answer that for you.
And also, if I can add, right, there would be two components to ISK funding that we would see, right? So is it going to be a lump sum? Right? If it's a lump sum, that would be more like a down payment, a capital injection into the project, right? Which would ultimately lower the the principal and interest or debt repayments necessary, because then we're dealing with a smaller loan as opposed to the full amount of the project costs, right? But looking at
ISK support from a lump sum standpoint. And then there's also the reoccurring standpoint, right? So, are they going to be supporting, this school with additional funding, no, annually, by X amount? And then if so, then we can carve out, or sorry, we would use the full amount of that, its funding for that purpose and use that to, um, when we're running our calculations, we use that as, some cash flow support for the loan. Also tied to your question as far as, this funding, so, when I send out the proposal to, council about, our cash flow, projections, this funding that we're assuming, or that we're taking is, fresh off the financial statements. If there are amounts of funding that are restricted and cannot be used for, any purpose other than what they're intended for, so let us know, and then we can subtract that, that funding from the revenue, the top line revenue, and then we can, have a more accurate, picture of what cash flow is available to pay down the loan.
And my other question is, has the Gowanio board attempted to put together like a national campaign to seek funding from, there's all kinds of huge major corporations across Canada. Have you tried that approach?
Yes, we put out over, I think, 100 letters to organizations like that, and we haven't got anything back, but we have get small things from the community and different organizations to us, and I think we've got about $2 million by doing that. But it's, I think the thing is, even within the community, the donors, they say this is the government's responsibility to do this. They don't want to take away that their responsibility. That's what we've been told from different areas. So it's just really difficult to, but yes, we've been, and then the school itself keeps raising dollars itself in little ways, like, I don't know how many hot dog sales and all that they've done and so on to help raise that $2 million and so on. So our biggest donation has been from Six Nation Elected Council, which is enough to put the self-servicing in. So that's really was a very, very good donation toward the project. And
Just Ruby, maybe a challenge for the banking institutions, given this age of reconciliation. Would there be thought or an appetite from the bank, given this situation, to do your best on behalf of First Nations children to at least prime or prime minus?
well, there's more of them here that are willing here. We've talked to a few others as well, and they're all willing to really look at this and come forth with something. So higher up than that, Cynthia, I don't know, like you're saying, corporate banking across Canada level, that we probably need some guidance there. I haven't,
So you were referring.
Just hit your mic, sorry. Yeah, just hit your mic. No,
No.
there you go.
Okay. So you're, referring to the interest rate that we could provide. Yes, yeah. So as far as the interest rate, let me stress, I used 8.7% interest as an extremely conservative measure. Oftentimes, we provide, lending at around, prime, prime is 7.2%. But we also, for facilities that are over $5 million, In the past, we used to issue out a debt instrument called a banker's acceptance. That's discontinued across the country. It's replaced by a Cora facility as of last year, November. Regardless of the nomenclature, these instruments are significantly cheaper than a prime loan. So I'm trying to think here. Maybe 5.5%. It's pretty groovy. But no, we can probably do, for a loan of this size, we could likely do much better than prime. And also there's options to fix the rate for terms that are over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, just in case you want to hedge out the interest rate risk. So.
Melba?
Yeah, sorry, I missed your presentation. I certainly agree with your, I guess, forwardness and in wanting the needs of Gowania to be in place. I certainly support that, but as you know, relinquishing financial responsibility on part of the feds has been a concern of mine, but I'm a team player. I'm with your team and I'm also with the elected council. So whatever decisions that are available to assist the children and the staff and our whole community's future is at stake when it comes to our culture and language. And Audrey has already spoken to that. So I certainly will agree with whatever comes forward and assisting you in any way we can. Thanks.
I have Dale, Hazel, and Audrey.
Yeah, just, I know Gowania has been fighting this battle for years and years, almost, what, 20, 30 years now, and trying to get a school, and rightly so. I mean, their thoughts and their viewpoints of, the federal government and their responsibility to this, because I know initially in the governments of the day, historically, I know they spared no expense to get rid of our language. So I see no reason why they should have that same mindset to bring our language back, because, we're still here as a First Nations people across this country. So I agree with what's being done, and hopefully, they can step up and, I know Cynthia touched on the truth and reconciliation, that they need to live up to what is expected of them in relation to Six Nations and the language they got, and then to preserve that language and to keep it, because it's amazing to hear it, especially the young kids speak it. It's amazing to listen to them, even though I may not understand it, but it's amazing to listen to them. Thank you.
This is where I think the council has to look at things from the point of view of getting it done, not just, they say they don't have anything, they can't do this. That isn't, we don't need to accept that. You don't need to accept that. You were elected to fight for the people. If you think we got that dialysis unit by just waiting for them, you're wrong. Or the birthing center, that, you gotta get in there and fight. Helen was on those committees. She knows how hard we fought for those things. And so on. And I'm sure it was the same with social services, with the Cynthia's programs. Like, the council has you don't have to say, we'll sit back and wait till they'll never give you anything. That's where you got to come from. They're never going to give you or the community anything. You got to get yourself there and say no. Learn their ways. Use their ways. Take them on. Help us. You can do this for these kids. That's what, and I'm sorry, I'm really bogged by this sun in my face. So my glasses aren't even helping.
Hazel, then Audrey.
Yeah, I just want to ask, with this potential backing from CIBC, and if council goes forward with that idea, is there still a possibility of proceeding along as long as there's everything's a-okay, but also bringing ISK along to show what's happening and that they have to pay that monthly loan. Like, we've had too many meetings with ISK and each one is just a waste of time. Once you get close to, they don't have nothing more to say to tell you no. So what do? They shuffle everybody around and you gotta start all over again with everybody. So I'm wondering if we proceed along with this idea. I don't know any other way to do it other than to go through a bank. But I also want ISK to be made aware of, okay, we're proceeding along, but this is how much you're gonna have to pay on a monthly basis to pay this loan down. Because I had asked ISK before when we were meeting with them, have you ever considered to put it forth as a loan? Like, rather than a big lump sum, put it forth as a loan and they can pay down. And the guy just says, well, do you have insider information? Well, that doesn't make sense either to even ask that, because when you're trying to get something, you're looking at all types of alternatives to try and get to first base. But I almost feel like we need to shame that doggone ISK, because they know how to talk their way out of anything and they hold all your money and they still don't want to help. So that's my thinking. Thank you.
Audrey?
Yeah, thank you. When we, in the Governing Board, Ruby, and council met with, ISK, they told us that we were 23rd on the list across Canada for having a new school built. They do 3 schools a year. Sometimes they don't even do any schools in that year. And recently, it was debated whether or not there was really an existing list, because people jump in front of you and they have more done than what our students are going through, and our families and our staff. So I think we really have to work together on this one. And I think also, in addition to working with the banks here, I think we should hire somebody as a consultant to do requests for proposals, to do fundraising. Somebody who has really a lot of get up and go and can has a lot of contacts to raise some funds, and that'll help cut down our loan. We can pay that towards the loan as well, so that we're working on it on a couple of fronts, not just the loan, because if we can save some money, then that's great. And the question I have, Ruby, is all the furniture and playground equipment included in this sum that you have there? All these, everything, decorations, supplies, etc.
Yeah, we have an interior decorator that's put together the inside amenities that are needed there and everything. As far as I know, it's all there, Audrey.
Wonderful. Okay, that's my recommendation that we do. Yeah.
We have some that are already bought, waiting at the Gowanio they're using, but I wanted to add on to this, so just for council's information. You know, the other schools are busting at the seams. I.L. Thomas is, I think, I would say over 100 more kids than they should have. We need a school here anyway, another one. There's 30,000 of us, like, here on our band list, and I know when we did this, the assessment for this school, it said that the female population reproduces 2.1% children per year. But mind you, I know all the young families I know have 4. So we have to accommodate each and every one of those people are precious. They deserve to go to a decent school and have the full amenities enjoyed by any other students in Canada. That's the way I feel anyways. And So has there been any kind of an assessment of the other schools? And, you know, when we said that, the last IS meeting, your finance team was with us and they heard them say, they took note of that and that made sense to them that if there's that many kids and we need another school, maybe we should build another. But we haven't been able to talk to them since, mind you. We were supposed to have another meeting and they canceled that just before Christmas. So whether it's going to come back or not. And this is what I think we need to have here is some kind of a group to talk to ISC about this in a concentrated way, not just leave it. We come to council and who follows up here anyway? In the past, there wasn't any follow-up, and that's one of our complaints. So we were told that there would be looking into holding back those taxes and so on. Um, um, the taxes and also the whole thing about the crown obligation. They deserve to always be in here doing this. We haven't transferred education. And why would we unless we get the money to do this? That would be ridiculous. We would let them off the hook then, and we'd have to sink and swim on our own. And I can tell you, other communities are having a lot of trouble with having done that. So let's fight for us. I'm willing to get behind you with a mob of people of you. It takes that. That's where we are. We're done fooling around. It's been a long haul. Am I right, team? But they're all out in the community, those graduates doing things, and they can talk in the language to the people and the people like that. You got your one fella here even talking for you. We can't talk. How come we can't talk? They can talk now. I got two granddaughters that can sing and dance and talk and everything else, and they enjoy their school. They don't even know that they're being deprived. They have no, they're happy there. Their teachers support, they're supported. That's what it's all about. Every kid deserves that. Every family does too. It helps the families.
Yes, totally agree with everyone. And for sure, Ruby, when we first started, I think it was 13 million, you know, and that's how much it's went over the times. And for sure, follow-ups, for sure, we need to do it as a team. And I keep seeing hands going up here. Can we wrap it up? Can we do Audrey, Melba, then Leslie, and then, we'll wrap it up.
Yes, thank you. I agree with Ruby, everything she says and the board. It's been a long haul, but we're going to get there. And we're getting closer and closer. And you asked about the schools. Lifelong learning is the task force that we up here at council, and all the programs on Six Nations that are involved in education have a seat at the table. The research that we've done, KL Martin went out and they figured out and did an assessment on all the schools, and they did the count of all the students, and they did all the projections. And they have projected that we need a new school. We need two new schools, one for Jameson and one for JC Hill School. The federal government building code is that one school should be on 10 acres of land. We've got two schools in Ashwegan on 9 acres of land, and that just doesn't give them the opportunity to play all the sports and all the activities that they need. So we need to get busy and get on our infrastructure team to get some land set aside for a new school and two new schools. We have to start that process there. So yes, it is done, Ruby. And right now they're putting out portables. They've got one at Jameson School, and they've got, I think Isle Thomas are looking for one or two right now. So you're absolutely right. And All Rem Smith School is also getting to that point. So they're even suggesting that the school that we build for J.C. Hill School, that some of the overflow goes to that school. So it has to be central. So there's lots that has to be done, and we're even looking into having a high school on the reserve as well. Those recommendations will be coming out to the community, and they can help lead what it is that the community wants. So we're engaging all the time, and you can look on our site, Lifelong Learning, and please join in with your comments and feedback. But again, congratulations. We are moving ahead, and we're right beside you, Ruby. We haven't stopped fighting for the school. Yeah.
Well, don't engage, this school is separate in the idea that it's been for a long time trying to happen. So don't hold back on this one while you try to finish that, because you know that has to be ratified by the community and whether it ever will be, because it's come up twice now and they would never pay the money to run it. So who knows whether all that work will even get ratified by this community, but this school needs to happen.
Yep. Melba, then Leslie.
I certainly share Ruby's frustrations and of course the board and staff. It's a real shame, like you said, that we're in this predicament for so many years. It's like the children are homeless. We have homeless people that don't have anywhere to go. Well, you have a roof over your head, but not completely homeless as some of the people, but I think we have all of this on the inside. We have money on the inside, not only possibly elected council, but our people. We have millionaires out there and they're looking to spend their money in a way that's very helpful to the community. And if we could reach out, whether it's going to be council or yourselves or together as partners to pursue where these dollars are going to come from, that would be really great. So I know this is true that some of the cannabis people and cigarette people who combined have said to other people in the community, I got so much money, I don't know what to do with it. So we got lots of money out there of the millionaires. And as you can see through the years, a lot of them have been generous. So I think they would be generous when it comes to the children and the language and the culture. It depends on your values, I guess. If everyone remembers when GRE first came in place and the cigarette shacks, I don't want your money. I don't want your money. So it depends on your values as a board and parents. So hopefully council will discuss this further and come up with a plan where we can work together and pursue inside. We've already exhausted, as you said, on the outside. Let's try on the inside and see where we go from there, from people who are generous and have money more than me. Thank you.
Leslie? Can you hit your mic?
Hi, Ruby, and everyone here of the delegation representing Gowanio today. Thank you for coming before the 59th Council, Six Nations Council. I heard you, Ruby, today. I believe this is your year. This is the year for Gowanio to shine, whatever it looks like, however it's going to be. That's why we're here, and we believe in what needs to come, and it will come. I'm 58 years old, and this is a commemorative year. We talked about that. Well, I wouldn't say commemorative, but it's a year of many things that happened 100 years ago when residential schools were thriving and our language was being destroyed. How about in this 100th year, we get back a school that gives our language back to our people? That would say so much more to me and to a lot that are here today and to our community, to give that language back. Take it back, take it by the horns, right? Okay, so I think about this. 24 means so much. You said, I think you said, 2000, the year 2000, that MOU was produced. That's 24 years, right? 24 years this council sat and waited for this to come about and to be. And then we're looking at 1924, what I just mentioned, to 2024, 100 years of being stripped of so many things. And so here we sit as a a grand council, the grand chief, and to be able to hear this. And I love it, and I love that you brought that today. And so, whatever it takes, I'm gonna stand with council to, if we can support you, we support, right? I'm not saying if, because we're gonna find a way to help. Okay, that's what I want to say.
And again, for sure, anything we can do, we'll do our due diligence, Ruby, and for sure, let's work closely together and let's stay in the loop with each other of what's happening. And again, like you said, Ruby, let's have a plan and we need still to do this, but also still fight with the government because they still have that obligation. And again, we'll do our due diligence first, and then we'll come back, for sure, in the near future, because we can't keep this on the back burner, because it needs to come to the forefront and needs some answers, for sure.
I'll just end by saying, every one of us along this line, from the faculty, the parents, the faculty, the board, the council, the government. If something happens to one of those kids there, in the situation they're in, we're all responsible. We are all responsible. We don't want that. We want to get them in a safe school from ongoing. So we thank you for listening to us, and we hope to act fast. We've been waiting 30 odd years, like she says, more than 24 actually. So please,
Yeah.
thank you for hearing us.
Yep. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us. And we'll get back to you, Ruby, as soon as we can, set up another meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Okay, let's move to number 4, the adoption of general finance minutes. If there's no questions or comments, can I have a mover? Moved by Dale, seconder. Audrey, with the change on there. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen none, carried. We have number 5, the fire services equipment purchase. We have Crystal Farmer online. Whereas minor capital funding 2022 to 22-23 and fire operating budget allocation of 23-24 for the equipment. They have confirmed sufficient dollars to approve the purchase of the light rescue truck. So then it says, therefore, be it resolved that the Six Nations of the Grand River Elected Council approve the purchase and issue payment of commercial emergency equipment for the 4-day extreme tactical sawtooth per invoice in the amount of $183,287.22. In the amount, okay. And in the amount of $183,200, said that. Okay, this is all lumped in one. Then it has at the end, $366,574.44. Can you give some clarification there, Crystal?
Good morning, all. Two invoice, the total purchase was split. We were planning on paying the first invoice in December when it arrived, and then once we received, we were gonna pay it this month, the balance of that. So that's why it was split. And the total cost of that is $366,574.44.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
You're welcome.
Is there a mover and seconder? Then comments. Question, Dale? Is there a mover first, then questions after? Moved by Melba, seconder? Second by Leslie. Now questions and comments. Go ahead, Dale?
Yeah, my question really, well, first of all, thanks for all the information. I know this came, was it last month or so it came, and I know there was a little bit of information missing, but it seems to be all there. But the only question I got is in regards to, I think there's gonna be a deficit expenditure of like $31,574.44. So I know it says in the briefing note that it's gonna cover operational cost savings, so I don't know if that's something you can answer, Jen, just where that line item would be that for to cover off that additional 31,000.
Thanks, Dale. Crystal and I took a look at her budget together to assess whether or not she could accommodate the additional $30,000. She has a few different line items that's coming from. Specifically, she is under budget right now on her building repairs, on her advertising, her honoraria. There's actually quite a number of line items that she is under by. And when we discussed the overage for this project, we spoke about working closely to ensure that she maintains some of those deficiencies or underspends to help offset this additional spend.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we have moved by Melba, second by Leslie, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Waive second reading. Melba? Leslie? All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Number
Thank you.
6. Thank you. Have a great day, Crystal. Next one, housing, the furnace replacement at Elders Unit. So whereas Six Nations housing budget for the replacement of 7 units at 28 Bicentennial with a total of 29,500. So then it says, therefore, be it resolved that SNGREC approve the additional expenditure of $7,536 for the replacement of 2 unbudgeted furnaces at 28 Bicentennial Trails Elder Units to be expensed from the replacement reserve fund. Expenditures of 35,536 and altogether. That's the total. Is there a mover? Moved by Audrey, second by Elena. Is there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, I know in the motion, it doesn't say who you're giving it to. I know there was 3 quotes. I know it's the lowest one normally, but you're not listing the name, or is it not required, or is that something within somebody's authorization level?
So in this case, Dale, we go with the lowest option. I know in the past there's been questions surrounding the preference being given to local contractors. In this case, the local contractor who's in the list, his quote is more than the lowest by at least 10%. So in this case, we go with the lowest cost. And that's within Nathan's authority and mine delegated authority to decide who the awarded contract is going to be given to.
Follow up, Dale?
Yeah, so in relation to what do you actually just asking council for, just to move their money around, or is that something within somebody's? No.
Yeah, so I need additional funds out of the replacement reserve fund in order to accommodate 2 additional furnaces that weren't budgeted for. And it's a council that has to approve that additional expenditure.
Cynthia?
Excuse me. Is this a housing replacement reserve or is it a general?
It's under housing.
Okay, is moved by Audrey and the second was Elena. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Waive second reading. Audrey, second reading. Elena, all in favor? Anybody opposed? See none carried. Took off number 7. Motion to adjourn. That is it for today's agenda. Moved by Leslie, second by Dale.
To move in camera, yes.
Yes, to move in camera. All in favor? Opposed, see none carried. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day, everyone.